Welcome back, class, to part two. So here we're going to look at food, homes, and wildfires. And I'll have another word for you as well at some point in this, if I don't forget. So food. So CO2 causes problems across the board. So we saw how it causes problems with increasing temperature, causes problems with air pollution. It also is causing problems with our food, believe it or not. So CO2 is actually changing the composition of fruits and vegetables. So the more CO2 we have, it means photosynthesis is going to pick up faster. So plants are going to grow faster, which is great. The faster plants grow, the more food people have. So that is a positive. Definitely a positive. The more CO2, the faster plants grow. The only problem is the faster they grow, we get more food. But the food starts growing with more sugar and less calcium, protein, zinc, and other vitamins. So all the minerals that are healthy for you in fruit, the reason we eat fruit and vegetables for all these minerals, all the vitamins that they give us, are actually reducing. So plants and so fruits and vegetables will have less of these minerals that we need and have more sugar, which is what we don't want. So because CO2 levels are rising, models have shown that there's going to be a decrease from 3 to 17%, depending on the plant, in iron, protein, and other vitamins in our food. So this means that if we look now and let's say, what's a vegetable? A beet, I guess, a beet words. Let's say the beet had 10, it's a massive beet, had 10 grams of protein in it. In the next 5 years, that's going to decrease to about, if we lose about, let's say 10% on average, it's going to decrease to 9 grams of protein. And then 10 more years, you're going to decrease to 8 grams of protein. And then 10 more years, you're going to be like 6 or 5, depends on how fast the CO2 levels increase. So in the next 100 years, we can see that these rates in minerals that are good for us are dropping off substantially. And the rate of sugar, which is not good for us, unless, well, some sugar is good, but based on the rate of sugar I'm eating during the stay-at-home orders, it's probably not that great for me. So the thing we don't want is increasing. The thing we want and we need is decreasing because these plants are growing faster and because CO2 is in the atmosphere. So there's an interesting article to read. So this is where I got the data from. I thought I'd share a couple of these with you. If you want me to properly cite them, I can. I just didn't think people care too much. But if you want me to, I'm happy to. But I just put the link down below here. Okay, I should have, I don't know why, I didn't really look at the homes being on the same level, but that's okay. Okay, so looking at homes, so as the sea level rises, I said earlier, we're going to see more flooding. And this bit of data here shows the rate of flooding days per decade, so per 10 years. So in the 1980s and 2010s, we saw a little bit of an increase in the number of days we have a flood per 10 years. But it's predicted that once we get to like the 2070s, so from 2070 to 2080, we're going to see up to 8,000 plus days where there's a flood in the US. And this isn't across the world. This is just in the US, which means it's going to be about 10 years. That's about 800 floods each year, which is a crazy amount of floods each year. Because if you look at it right now, we're seeing maybe one flood a year, if that, or sorry, one flood a day, if that, in the States, and it's going to jump up to about 2.5 floods a day. So it'll be a pretty sharp increase. So looking at this data, we can see that it's growing exponentially. So it's not just increasing steadily; it's going to get more and more and more and more and more. So this is just like how COVID is spreading, because it spreads to more people, it's going to grow like one person will spread it to more than one person. So it's going to go faster, faster, faster. So it's exponential rate. This is the same. As the sea levels rise, there's going to be more places where there's going to be flooding. So this kind of brings up a really interesting problem, a very bad problem, a very interesting problem. So as the sea levels rise, coastal cities are going to lose land. So if you look at like Richmond, as sea levels rise, Richmond has a potential to like sink, almost to flood. So that means that Richmond is no longer going to be habitable. So people in Richmond are going to move out of Richmond into maybe more um, low income places, and they're going to kind of, I wouldn't say take over, but they're going to, as they move into these low income places, they're going to increase the property value. And they're going to push out the families in the low income homes, which means that these families in the low income homes won't go have anywhere to go. So we call this climate gratification. So this is a problem kind of across the world where we have coastal cities, is that as the sea levels rise, people living right on the water, which generally are the high income families, are going to move inland into more low income regions, pushing out the low income families. So this problem is being actually dealt with, which is surprising. I didn't think this problem would be dealt with knowing how things are being dealt with climate change. But cities like Miami have already put legislation in that's going to prevent families from moving out of coastal um, coastal spots where there's potential for flooding or potential to lose your house because sea levels are rising into safer low income areas. That you want to actually say you can't do that. We can't just increase the property value because people are moving into this area. So that's great that it's being dealt with in some places, but that doesn't change that we're going to displace a bunch of people because sea levels are rising. So about 150 million people worldwide live 3 feet or less above sea level, which is like, I don't know, probably, yeah, what, like four of my heads maybe? I don't know. That's probably a terrible way to measure it. Um, which is not that much off sea level. And when sea level rises, it's not only that, okay, the sea level's here, and if you're here, you're fine. Because there's tides, right? We talked a lot about tides and how we have high tides, low tides, we have stream tides. So when you have tides and sea levels rising, these tides get more intense as well. So it's not that, okay, you're just above sea level, you're fine. Tides or storms can come in and cause an increase in floods. So um, these 150 million people worldwide eventually are going to need somewhere to live. So they're going to have to move out of their spot inland, and that's going to cause a big problem for redistributing large portions of the population. And it's not only that these 150 million people live 3 feet or more above sea level, there's also 3 feet or less. There's also 800 million people who live 30 feet or less from the sea level. And you think, okay, 30 feet, that's quite a bit. That's like 10 yards or um, what's that, like 9 meters? Um, but as, again, sea levels rise and we get more and more storms that are stronger and more precipitation, more flooding, these places are also in danger. So that's about 800 million people that are in danger of floods. And that danger is increasing and increasing and increasing. And this is going to cause a large problem for people moving out of their homes into new regions. Okay, and finally, I just want to talk about wildfires quickly because it's almost it's crazy that we almost forget that at the beginning of this year there was massive wildfires in Australia that were causing tons of damage, tons of life lost to humans and to animals. And wildfires not only threaten lives, money, lives of animals as well. I guess lives of animals and humans are more important than money, but it also is costing a bunch of money and costing people their homes, costing people their livelihood. These events are increasing. So the rate of forest fires fluctuates year to year, but the trend is that they're increasing over the last 30 years. And when these wildfires happen, again, they cause all this damage, but they also increase the pollution in the atmosphere. They put a lot of carbon into the atmosphere. And this will act as air pollution. This will also act as greenhouse gases. So um, it's not only that these fires affect human lives, but they also just increase and increase climate change. So it's a really common thing when talking about how the climate changes. Once it starts to change, things happen that make it change quicker. So like when the planet is cooling down, you get more ice, reflects more energy, it cools faster. When it warms up, you get more forest fires, producing more atmosphere or producing more pollution into the air. or we have ice melting, so we absorb more energy from the sun. So all these things go together to make it warm up faster. So once we're off course and we're gone. So it's important that we do our part to really reduce that course as much as possible so that the planet is safe for generations and generations and generations, not just now. Hopefully this wasn't too long. I know it was a bit of a longer one today. On Monday, there won't be any new material as it's a holiday, so you can take time on Monday to relax. And then Wednesday, there'll be new lessons out. So have a great rest of the day. Oh, sorry. So hopefully everybody can remember that there is a little end to this where you get the secret word. The secret word will be running shoe. That's what I'm looking at. Have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you all next time.